Graham Moore, thank you very much indeed. Well, from Kansas, we're joined by the Republican candidate for US Senate, Kris Kobach. He ran for governor there in 2018, but lost in the blue wave election, saw many Democrats sweep to power. Kris Kobach, do you accept then that Donald Trump abused his power in office? That's what you've just heard.
No, I don't accept that at all. This impeachment really boils down to a factual question of what did Donald Trump do in the negotiations with the Ukraine, and then the legal question of do these acts that the president is accused of, do they even amount to high crimes or misdemeanors under our Constitution? And I think the president's case is a winning case on both grounds. I don't think that the president's discussions, which were made public with the president of the Ukraine, constitute any abuse of power at all. I don't think there was anything improper about them. And so, and the one fact witness that the Democrats were able to produce in the House of Representatives, who actually had a conversation with the president, said the president told him there is to be no quid pro quo here. There is no tit for tat. There's no hard requirement that the Ukraine do anything. So they haven't proven what they're accusing the president of.
Let's break this down. He solicited a foreign government to investigate a rival for his own political gain. It was clearly quid pro quo under those terms. It was clearly bribery. Why cannot you accept that and explain why he should stay in office?
Well, because for there to be a quid pro quo, there has to be something then that that is withheld or that the president demands. And the argument the Democrats make is that, well, the president was withholding a meeting with him. He was withholding a phone call with the Ukraine, that President Trump was withholding aid. Well, in fact, all three of those things were delivered. And so there can't be a quid pro quo if on the president's side, he delivered all of the three things that the Democrats say he was withholding.
If you solicit that help with a rival for your own political gain, are you happy as a Republican, as a would-be senator, to say, you know what, that's water under the bridge, let him get on with it?
Well, and let's be clear, he didn't solicit help to, he didn't say, please, can you help dig up some dirt on the son of Joe Biden? No, he said,
that's exactly what he said.
He said, as you know, no, he didn't. He said that there was an investigation that was terminated at the request of Joe Biden when he was vice president. Could you please restart that investigation and see if there was anything to it? That's all he said. And that's a far cry from, could you please dig up dirt on my political opponent? And again, he said, he made it very clear that it wasn't that was not a requirement for the foreign aid.
Let me just ask you then, do you believe he has acted illegally?
No, absolutely not. If there were a law that was violated, the Democrats would have absolutely made that part of the articles of impeachment. And that's the problem with their claims. Their articles don't rise to the standard of high crimes or misdemeanors, which the Constitution demands. They've already said they can't prove. They've admitted they can't prove treason or bribery.
Okay, they will say it can, and they will say that your party, is using legal arguments to water down what you know in your souls the president has done. Do you think he has behaved immorally? Do you think he has abused the office of president? Do you think he has tarnished the party of Reagan and Lincoln? And does it matter if he's done all those? Can he still stay in office anyway?
I don't think he has. And you said, well, we're using legalistic arguments. Yes, because we are a country that is, came up with the concept of a written constitution that is binding upon the government, and the written constitution demands high crimes or misdemeanors, and the two articles don't meet that. The one that they have, abuse of power, every president since George Washington has been accused of abuse of power. That's why the Founding Fathers rejected the British term maladministration when they were drafting the Constitution, and instead opted for the specific high crimes or misdemeanors. The other one, obstruction of Congress, that's something that virtually every president in the modern age has asserted. That's simply the executive privilege of, no, you can't demand that all my advisors come in and divulge the contents of our confidential discussions. Reagan asserted it multiple times.
You are defending a man who, to many, his actions look increasingly indefensible. And by acquitting him, or by not accepting this even as a trial, you are putting your own constitution on trial. You are green-lighting this kind of behaviour that makes the world see that you sanction this.
Well, again, I would say even if one accepted your proposition that you're putting forward, that the behavior itself was disagreeable and unacceptable, or even the word immoral as you used, even if that were true, that would not rise to an impeachable offense under our Constitution. And that's an important part of it is a legalistic system, yes, but that is how our government works. You can't just say, well, we don't like him, we don't like his manner, we don't like the way that he presents himself or talks to foreign leaders. That's not good enough. The other problem with this is in the past, we have an election coming up in a very short time, in 10 months, less than 10 months. And so the notion of impeaching a president when the people of the United States are right there ready to express judgment for or against him is a little bit absurd. Impeachment was meant to be a safety valve, something you do when either there's an emergency, that the president has done something so grievously wrong you have to get him out of office right away, or it's early in the term and we can't wait 4 years for the people of the United States to remove him.
I will go back to that point I put to you before. He is accused of soliciting a foreign government to investigate a rival for his own political gain. And by acquitting him, your party, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, that's fine. Now, this whole process makes a mockery of the US Constitution and of an impeachment process that can never work. Because if that's not bad enough for you, for the party of Reagan, for the party of Lincoln, then when does it get bad enough to say, we don't like this?
Well, as far as the impeachment process, if it somehow indicts the impeachment process, Alexander Hamilton, the founding father who wrote the most about impeachment, said that the impeachment process is not perfect. And he said inevitably, and we've seen this in this impeachment with President Trump, the impeachment process may boil down to the simple question of which party has the most numbers. And that's why the House was able to ram through these charges without even letting the president present his own witnesses. And it was done in secret as well. And so it was no. He was not allowed to bring his own witnesses before the Democrats controlled the witness list entirely in the House. And so the idea that this is somehow a fair process and that didn't tarnish, look, back to Hamilton. Hamilton said, look, the ultimate potential risk here is that it could just become a partisan deal where the party that has the most numbers controls the outcome. And I think we saw that in the House, and you could argue that that's a flaw that we may see in the Senate. It'll probably be a party line vote. But again, the impeachment process, the founding fathers recognized that it was imperfect. But I think what you're seeing now is Democrats exploiting it to do something against a president who has done nothing wrong and certainly done nothing illegal.
Kris Kobach, great to have you on. Thanks for your time this evening. Well, we will be back to Trump in a moment in Davos, but there's been news close to home too.